I want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors to the elders that taught me this truth. And man, we in a spot in a place where, the spirit is growing, different things are being revealed to different brothers at different times. And then for some of us, some old things that we might didn't understand, again, straighten out at the same time. All right. Now, this is something I know a lot of brothers probably already knew, but I didn't know. I didn't know this, and this is what was keeping me tripped up in the scriptures. All right. That Azaz'el, or however you say the name, and Lucifer are two different spirits. All right. That has always been something that has kept me tripped up. All right. Now, this is a couple of pages from a book, the book in circuits of Eli, a Hebrew and English book. And it's written by let's see if I find his name. I think the name is Janaya Malik Ben Daniel. Alright. And it is a book of Enoch that is precept into the Bible. Alright. It comes with precepts line by line that shows you where the Bible is talking about the exact same thing. All right, and part of this knowledge being increased is different things and understandings and things coming out. All right, and I didn't even realize that that especially the first book of Enoch, what they call it, is precept so well into the Bible. I haven't got to the second book. I believe that's where most of the weird stuff is. I only find like when I went through the first book, I only seen like one thing that didn't go with the Bible, and that was towards the end of the first book. So I can see the second book maybe going our way completely in left field now, but there was still a lot of meat that you could take off the bone in this book. All right, and this is on page 39 and 40. Not sure if the page number is visible, but it is going into Azazel. All right. All right, and let me just start at the top. In the book of Leviticus, Yahweh, I'm just going to read this Yahweh all the way down. Yahweh commanded Aaron, the high priest, to make an atonement to the nations of Israel by laying hands on a scapegoat and professing all the sins of the Israelites upon the head of the goat. And this is coming from Leviticus 16 and no, I'm just going to go there. Leviticus 16 and 8th verse through 10th verse. And that's another thing I like about this book. Everything he bring up, he pretty much precepts it. All right. And Aaron cast lots unto two goats, one lot for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat. And Aaron should bring the goat upon which the Lord lot fails and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot failed to be the scapegoat should be presented alive before the Lord to make an atonement with him and to let him go a scapegoat into the wilderness. All right. So pretty much, one goat to take on, the sins so that the other goat might survive. Right. This transferring of sins from the Israelites to the scapegoat is done every year by the high priest on the Day of Atonement. We know the Day of Atonement is probably one of our most important high holy days. That's right up there with the Passover. I know a lot of people like to mention the other days because you were required to travel to Jerusalem, but it was very important, to be forgiven for your sins and ask for that on the Day of Atonement, the day you go fasting without eating, and to show the Lord, that you want your forgiveness. It's a very important holiday. All right. In Hebrew, the word for scapegoat is Azazel. All right. So Azazel, and if I say the name a few different ways, I really don't know the proper pronunciation, but um, so when you say whenever you was reading these verses and you see scapegoat, it was supposed to be Azazel. All right. So he was the symbol of the scapegoat. Now, while we get into that, let me get Genesis, the 22nd chapter, 7th verse. All right. And I want to go into Isaac and when Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice him. All right. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham, his father, and said, My father. He said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Yahweh will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went, both of them, together. And they came to the place which Yahweh had told him. And Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hands and took his knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. He said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon thy leg, and do thou anything unto him. For now I know thou fearest Yahweh, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from him. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram. So it was the scapegoat. And us through the spirit, we know that Isaac, was one of the what you say, reincarnations of Yahushua. Yahushua was Adam, Yahushua was Isaac, and Yahushua was Solomon. Some of the reincarnations we know, the lamb. And on this one, the scapegoat, the ram was caught in the thick by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. All right, so it let you know that the ram, worked as a scapegoat even then. Now I'm gonna go over to, since we in books, you're not supposed to be reading. All right, scary books. We're gonna go to Joshua, the 23rd chapter, and I'm gonna read this account. And we know this account is worded a lot different. It took place a little different in Genesis, but the main point is gonna be right here in this part. All right. At the time the Lord appeared unto Abraham, and he called to him from the heaven and said unto him, Lay not thy hand upon thy lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Yahweh in performing this act, and not withholding thy son, thy only son, from him. And Abraham lifted up his eyes, and he saw, behold, a ram was caught in the thick by his horns, that the ram which the Lord had created in the earth, and that day that he made earth and heaven. For the Lord had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. So the Lord say he prepared the ram to be here and to be ready to suffer for Israel from the beginning. All right. So since the Lord prepared the ram from the beginning, then you go to from the beginning. And the reason I want to get into that, we talk about it as a rebelling against the Lord, and coming down to earth getting into Genesis the 6th chapter, and leading the angels to sleep with mankind. You get into that, but Yahweh had designed it to be that way from the get go. All right, there is still no free will. All right, that was his plan. Now, it is not for us to understand, why the Lord chooses to do things he do, and we know it gets into Azaz'el, and we're just gonna read on down a little bit more. All right. Just as Yahweh told the archangel Raphael to ascribe upon him our to him our sin, to Azaz'el, Enoch the 10th chapter, 8th verse. Let me get that. And another reason, you gotta be careful in these books. I know my on this app I use the Apocrypha, and these books don't necessarily read the same way that the actual book will read. All right, and that's going into Enoch too. All right, and this is Enoch the 10th chapter, and they precepted with the 8th verse. I'm gonna skip up a couple. All right, 6th verse. And again, the Lord said to Raphael, Eleazar, bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into darkness, and opening the desert which is in Dubai, cast him in there, and throw upon him herbs and pointed stones, and cover him with darkness. There should he remain forever. Cover his face that he may not see the light. And the great day of judgment, let him be cast into the fire. All right, so it was saying that he was going to be cast into the fire in a great day of judgment, and we can precept it in the scriptures with Jude, the 1st chapter, and the 7th verse, 6th verse. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he had reserved in everlasting chains under the darkness until the judgment of the great day. All right, and that is going back to the watchers, following for him. Now, let's read on a little more. And Yahweh commanded Moses and Aaron to do the same. Eleazar is the most wicked of all the fallen angels, as known as the watchers, and he was cast straight into hell until the great day of judgment. Enoch 10:4. All right, and see, I'm gonna get all these precepts. He got marked, just make sure we getting out the meat. 10:4. Okay. All right. Then they explained to him the consumption which is about to take place, for all the earth shall perish, and the water of shall perish. The water of delusion should come over the whole earth, and all things which are in it should be destroyed. All right. So, it's saying, the Lord was going to destroy the old world, and that was the first judgment. All right. He was castrated into hell until the judgment of the great day. And that was the 6th verse was I already wrote, which really went into that. Read, so I'm gonna keep going. He is responsible for teaching the sons of men how to make swords, knives, and various weapons. All right, and we know that's kind of going into Esau, because Lord gave Esau the blessing of the sword in Genesis, and this is who taught Esau the weaponry. He is also the founder and God of Freemasonry religion. All right, so the Freemasonry religion comes from Eleazar. All right, and I kind of wonder, is this all right? This is Enoch, the 8th chapter, first verse, since they precept it. Moreover, Azaz'el taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, and fabrics of mirrors in the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, in the use of paints, in the beautifying of eyebrows, in the use of stones of every valuable and slick kind, in all sorts of dyes, so that the word became altered. All right, so pretty much, he taught mankind to do all kind of going off, right? All kind of wickedness is what they was getting into. Azazel, the goat demon, taught masonry to mankind since the time of Noah. This is why Freemasons frequently require their members to ride goats as part of their initiation ritual. The initiation ritual are considered abominable before Yahweh. Alright. So, this is where Freemasons get their rituals from. Alright. And this is the second verse, this third paragraph is what really made me want to do this lesson. Because this is something that I never paid too much attention to. Because I have always been getting Lucifer and Azazel mixed up, thinking they were the same spirit. Right? And once you realize there are two different spirits, that's when the scriptures really can really start to make a whole lot of sense to you. All right. Now, in more recent times, he is commonly referred to as Baphomet. He is commonly depicted as a goat-headed demon with a man's body, a woman's breast, an angel wings, goat feet, and genitalia resembling that of a serpent. The Apostle Paul described him perfectly in the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 23. All right. And let's go ahead and get Romans chapter 1, verse 23. All right. And he changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made into a corruptible man, into the birds and four-footed beasts and creepy things. Right. So all this changing of kinds, mixing of species and crossbreeding of things. He was the one behind it. Azazel. All right. The Apostle Paul describes him. Okay. After common depictions of him is as of a goat head within an upside down pentagram. He used his power to seduce women by the beautifying of the eyelids as well as the use of makeup and cosmetics. So beautifying of the eyelids and makeup and cosmetics is part of worshiping Azazel. All right. And we know just about all our women are into these things. All right. He is greatly responsible for the inversion of male and female gender roles throughout history. All right. So all this transgender, all this stuff, this is the spirit that's behind it. Many people mistakenly consider Lucifer to be the same as Azazel, and that is what I was doing. I was mistakenly considering both of these spirits to be the same, and that is what was getting me mixed up in the scriptures, because we know that Lucifer hasn't rebelled against the Most High. Matter of fact, he obeys the Most High. And just to get that, this is Job, the first chapter, I believe, 6th verse. Now, there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also with them. And the Lord said to Satan, "Where hast thou come?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth and walking up and down in it." So Satan came to meet the Lord with the sons of God. He said he's going to and fro on the earth and walking up and down the earth. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man that feared Yahweh and eschews evil. So the Lord told Satan to go try Job. Right? Then you know that Lucifer, Satan, works for Yahweh. Azaz'el was the one who's rebelled, and he's the one, who's kept in chains to the day of that great day, in the bottomless pit. That is Azaz'el, all right? Now, it's coming to worship, all right? All right, all right, let me see what it was. All right, all right, okay, and let's say Azaz'el is depicted by the 5-point star. In contrast, Lucifer uses a hexagram, a 6-point star, right? In their magic routines, right? So the symbol for Azaz'el is the 5-point star. The symbol for Lucifer is the 6-point star. So both of them are demonic. Both of them are, wicked. But one is for Azaz'el, and the other one is for Lucifer, right? And it says Lucifer is known as the prince of power of the air. And then it precepts that to Ephesians, the second chapter, second verse. Right? When in time past you walk according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the earth, the spirit that's not worked in the children of disobedience. All right, so pretty much, letting that he's the prince of power of the air. All right, now I'm over here on this next page. You really just want to get this mainly this top paragraph. All right, it says the flag of the United States of America incorporates 50 pentagrams. All right, so 50 signs of Azazel on the flag. The United States military headquarters in Washington, D.C. is named the Pentagon in honor of the angel of the pentagram. All right. So the United States is set up to show worship to Azaz'el. All right. All right. He is the God of war. All right. And that's how the Edomites, are really on him because this warlike technology, all this comes from him. All right. He is the God of war. U.S. military power. His unclean spirit has inspired the creation of weapons and used for mass destruction. So he's the one who's behind teaching mankind how to make and use these nukes. All right, which is going to help lead to that second death, right? That final judgment. He is behind the invention of nuclear weapons and many other instruments of death. He is also depicted as the angel of death and is symbolized as a skull and bone. And I was Skull and Bone, on the TV show cartoon, like it called Monster High. They use it as a skull and bone. All right, so they got it on kids programming. So this is all to get people to worship Azazel. All right, so it's not just Lucifer people are worshiping; they are worshiping him too. Azazel was also worshipped by Esau, the patriarch of the Edomites. Esau settled in Mount Seir. Right, and it's a precept there to Genesis 36:8. Let's see what it say. Thus dwell Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. Alright. So then you know that the Edomites and Esau are the same people. And we know the scriptures also refer to them as Idumea a lot. Alright. Alright. In the Hebrew, the word Seir means demonic goat. All right. So they live in Mount Seir. It's the word Seir in the Hebrew means demonic goat. So out of Azaz'el. All right. The Greek king and descendant of Esau, Alexander the Great, was prophesied by Daniel as a rough goat in the King James version of the Bible. All right, so let's go over and get Daniel, the 8th chapter. They got precept. All right, 21st verse. All right. So all these precepts seem to be right on point so far. All right, and the rough goat is the king of the Grecians, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So that's talking about Alexander. All right, and you know the rough goat. All right, so then you know who Esau God is. Eliezer is who Esau the Edomite worship. You know, however, the Hebrew word used is seer. It is highly portable that Alexander was conceived through a magical ritual to Eleazar. This ancient Greek poem below depicts Alexander the Great with goat horns protruding from his head. All right, and you can see the little image with the goat horns coming out of his head. All right, and go right there because I think the rest of it just goes in to his daddy and mother, you know, having relations inside a pentagram, all right? Some kind of weird, you know, LA's Edomite ritual, all right? And this is who the god of the Edomites is, Eleazar, all right? The fallen chief of the Watchers, all right? And like I said, I never knew that Eleazar and Lucifer were two different spirits. All right, and then it makes so much sense for Lucifer to be represented with the 6 point sword and to be a son of God and be meeting with God, and Eleazar to be cast out, cast down for um, going against the Lord's will. But then, you get into what I brought out in the scriptures. The Lord always meant for him to rebel because there's no free will. And Eleazar is going to carry, the sins for the Israelites, as this article got into, you know, cast into the fire. And all the other ones, who don't want to come back to the truth, that judgment that the Lord set up. All right. And I'm gonna end this one right there. And I said I'm gonna go into one on the bottomless pit later because the bottomless pit later because it's pretty clear that we don't have any kind of correct breakdown of the bottomless pit because brothers out here saying is Europe was got to be the most ridiculous thing ever, but hey, this is why knowledge had to be increased, all right? And we're gonna get to this, and the Lord's gonna keep showing brothers different things and gonna keep having things to grow and more understanding and more knowledge to come forth. All right. And anyone still teaching that Europe is the bottomless pit, man, just please stop. All right. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. And I know we try, respect to the people who came before you, to your elders, but that is beyond silly. All right. Europe is not the bottomless pit. Just please stop with that one. And I'm gonna probably get into that a little bit later. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.